So I'm going to get back to the callers in a minute. I have a guest, Dovid, Dovid, Dovid Feldman. He is a couple therapist dedicated to building great marriages. And we all know that marriages are falling apart today. More women are filing for divorces. Less than 50% of marriage works in America. So very important topic. David, thank you so much for coming on.
Of course, Jesse, it's my privilege to be here.
I appreciate it. So how did you get involved in becoming, what made you decide to become a couple therapist?
Sure. So, I've always been a therapist personality ever since I was a child. I always loved talking to people and getting deep into what's going on in their lives. I started my first half of my career life as a computer consultant and a technology professional. And at some point in my life, I decided, I've had enough with playing with keyboards and screens and, that being my entire interaction all day long. And I wanted to work with people. And I believe in marriage. I love my marriage, and I love helping people with their marriages.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And so how long have you been married?
It's coming about 28 years now.
Well, amazing. You have children?
Yes, thank God. I've got six kids.
Right on. Oh, amazing. And so more and more women are filing for divorces today in America. Why is that?
Good question. I wish I had all the answers, which I don't, but I can share with you my opinion. Women in general are the gatekeepers of relationships. And when relationships break down and when they don't function to their highest level, it's usually the women who feel it the most and are dissatisfied the most. And today, many young people and older people are losing touch with what it means to be married, as well as the commitment it takes to be married, as well as the tools required to stay married. And unfortunately, this ends up in people having very, unhappy marriages, bad relationships, poor communication, loss of love, no structure around their sexual lives. And the women they're the first ones to pull the plug, basically.
Are you the head of your wife?
In some ways, yeah.
And when you say some ways, what do you mean?
Well, and I have an article about this on my blog. God created each of us, man and woman, to have different, what I call spheres of influence. And so in my sphere of influence, I'm the head. And in her sphere of influence, she's the head. And I'm happy to give her that power. And she's happy to give me the position that is appropriate for me. So.
Amazing. And so your podcast is called the Impassioned Marriage Podcast.
Yes.
What do you mean impassionate marriage?
Well, marriage, in order to succeed, requires passion to come together, passion to have peace in the home, passion to please each other and desire each other. And this is all personal work that we all need to do as individuals. And when we do our work as individuals, bringing out the passion, you see, everybody, at some point, if you're married, you would fall in love with this woman. And the question is, for many people, if it could be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, where did that love go? And my job as a therapist is to help each person that I work with bring out their innate passion that they already have for their partner. And that's what my podcast focuses on.
Men are not created to be passionate. Most of the time that come from a woman, men are created to help the woman overcome passion because it's a fake love. It's not real. It comes from hate and not love. And that's why marriages today tend not to last because men have been made to be like a woman, to be passionate. And women hate passion men because it's a beta male, a weak man.
I love that, Jesse.
It's a weak man who is a passionate. Men are dispassionate, and that power is given to them by God to help the woman overcome passion.
True and false. And please don't take that the wrong way.
No, don't worry. I don't apologize. Go ahead. Yeah.
What I mean to say is I agree on some and I disagree on some others. Certainly men have passion. We have passion for to protect our family. We have passion for our country. We have passion for sports. We have tons of passion, and we have tons of desire and drive and power to get things done. If it wasn't for men's passion, huge bridges went to the Panama Canal would never have been created. We are passionate by nature. And at the same time, I totally agree with you that in the context of a relationship, oftentimes men have to be more stoic, level-headed, rational, and patient in order for them to help their wives who have been given a different type of passion function within a relationship.
When you say passionate men are passionate, are you saying that they are emotional?
Partially. We have emotion.
It's not the normal state. Any man that has emotions has not overcome his mother.
Well, I would say that what we have is we have emotions tempered by reason. So we're innately rational beings that have emotions that come and play into our rationale. Women are the opposite. They are innately emotional people where they have reason that comes in and kind of tries to adjust their emotions.
What made women so illogical? I noticed that men are logical and women are illogical. What made women so illogical?
Well, I'm going to answer that question without agreeing with the statement. Otherwise, I'm going to be in big trouble. Women tend to see the reality that's around them in very personal ways. So they don't necessarily want to look at the big picture. They're looking at what's right now, what they feel is right now. And this is very important for them. When you have a child, when you have a baby, when you have a husband that's, in a difficult situation, a woman is an expert at soothing and addressing what's going on for that child or husband or friend right here and right now from a heart perspective. And that might not be the most rational answer.
Most of the time it's not.
I couldn't agree with you more, Jesse. I've been a fan for many years, you should just know.
Really?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I've been watching you for many years. Some of my favorite interviews.
Right on. Thank you. So can you describe... Oh, let me ask you this. Do you agree with me that men are logical and women are illogical?
I would say yes, but I would more likely say men are logical. Men have an emphasis on logic and reason, and women have an emphasis on emotion and feelings.
And that's why they need men to lead them, because in their feelings are always wrong. You can't make decisions based on how you feel about them, right?
I wouldn't agree with that statement.
You would not?
No. Women also, a man's logic can lead him off a bridge.
Not if it's from God. If he of God, it cannot lead him off. It's the illogical mind that leads you off the bridge.
You're a God-fearing man. I know. I've watched you many times. And I'll give you an example from the Bible. And there are many such examples from the Bible, but I'll just give you one.
Okay.
So when the Jewish nation was in Egypt, right, Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, decreed that all the Jewish firstborn sons should be killed and thrown into the river, and that's like why Moses was put into the river, etc. Aaron, Moses' brother, decreed that what we need to do, and Moses' father himself decreed that Moses' father Amram decreed that what we need to do is stop having babies. Because why should we bring babies into the world that are going to be killed by Pharaoh? That's logical. Immediately, his wife got up and said, no. We have to keep having babies, have more babies, and we have to save our babies, even if some of them will be killed. It was in her merit totally irrational, completely from intuition, and based on her heart and her feelings as a woman, she saved the Jewish nation, which then went on to receive the Bible, the Torah, from the Ten Commandments, and even as a Christian, then went on to have Jesus, etc., and created the Christian religion. So, that's just one. I could give you 100 such examples of where a woman's intuition and her feelings saved the day.
Well, I can't respond to that story because I don't know about it, but it reminds me of what white people are going through today, in that they have stopped having babies, they're having abortions, now they're being accused of everything, and they're on the run. So I'm telling them they need to have white babies.
Sounds like a good idea. I've had my babies. I've had 6. I'm not having any more.
Nice, man. I'm glad you had a bunch of babies. So can you describe what you mean when you describe masculine energy versus feminine energy?
Yes, sure. Masculine energy is the creative, spontaneous, powerful energy that's in the world. Much like the energy that God used to create the heavens and the earth and the world.
Yeah.
Feminine energy is the nurturing, cultivating, and present energy in the world. It is not spontaneous. It is long-term. It's present. It rests into the world. And that's the way it is with husband and wife. A husband is the one who goes out, protects. He's the one that will, usually be more spontaneous in all different aspects of the marriage. He's the one that will put his, go outside and gather, hunt whatever he needs to hunt. That's a masculine energy, to conquer. Whereas a feminine energy, she builds the home. A husband, there's a famous quote, a man gives a woman a house and she turns it into a home. And that's what women do. They're a more inner energy, a more creative, more nurturing and cultivating energy.
Do you agree that this masculine energy comes from God through man? And, last week we talked about what is the purpose of love. And it is that energy of God, that nature of God inside the man. And it is, love is powerful, it's insightful, it has no fear. Once you really grow in that energy, you can tell that a mountain to disappear, and it will, because it is the energy from God through the man. It's the love of God, the nature of God in men. And I don't think most people understand that love is not just forgiving, but you do have to forgive in order to come to love. It just is much more than what we can imagine. Do you agree that the man's love comes from above and the woman's love comes from below? That's why she's so emotional?
That is a very good way of saying it. And I really like the way you describe it, 100%. Yeah, there is an energy force that comes from above to below. That's a more masculine energy. And the feminine energy is much more from below to above, 100%.
Amazing. What is the red pill, and why are you telling men to turn away from it?
You're asking me what the red pill is?
Yeah. Well, you have a series on YouTube on escaping the red pill. So tell the folks what that is and why you're telling men to turn away from it.
Sure, 100%. So the red pill is a philosophy, or praxeology, as they like to say, basically discussing intergender dynamics between men and women. And I have a lot of respect for many people who are knowledgeable in red pill philosophy and the red pill ways of doing things. The reason why I talk about escaping the red pill is because I do have a disagreement in general, which is that I do believe that even though the red pill does address the differences, oftentimes, in my opinion, those differences are presented as opposites and adversarial. Whereas I believe that the escape from the red pill is to learn how to take our differences and turn them into strengths, not things to be afraid of, or things to work against, or things to protect yourself from. The exact opposite.
Amazing. What type of pushback do you get at times?
Oh, it's all over my Twitter feed. It's just very funny. Even this morning, I had a funny interlude. I had an escape the red pill about women's nature and having for men to build long-term relationships. Escape the red pill. Women are you should have a beautiful long-term relationship and you should be kind to your wife. And somebody came back and said that that women have sex for two reasons. They have sex because either they're feeling desire for you, or they're using you for provisioning. That women can't love you for who you are. And that's a negative way to view a woman's nature. So what I would say in response to that, as an example of the escape the red pill, is that there may be truth in what you're saying, but that's a strength of woman. That's not a minus. Meaning she's looking to a man. She's not interested in falling in love with a person. That's a Disney fantasy that she's going to fall in love with you for who you are. That's not true. She sees that the purpose of your union is to build a family and to build a life together. So she's looking at you to be that leader, to be that person who's going to create and help her create a home, a family, a long-term relationship. That's not something to look down at women for. That's something which the red pill oftentimes does, because they say, oh, she sees you as an ATM, or she sees you as merely a provider. She doesn't love you for who you are. Not true. She wants to build something greater than what you and her can just be if you're just this Disneyland couple.
I believe that women, not only do I believe they want men to be men, they need men to be men, but the woman today's woman is about fame and glory and money, and they don't seem, inside I know that they want the real deal. But the way they present themselves is about worshiping them. And the men don't realize it sometimes, so they get caught up with that. In today's society, it hasn't always been this way. But women seem to be more shallow today than before. Am I right? Am I wrong about that?
I don't say that you're wrong. And at the same time, I would say that's a commentary on our entire society.
Yeah.
See, I feel that women in many ways are going to reflect the society that we currently have. And to some extent, they're responsible for it. But as men, and I know how important building up men is to you, as men, we have the power to change that.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why women are so into their looks and the Instagram and all that is because men flock to it like crazy. So there's a power source for them that they see, OnlyFans, right? There's a power source there that they see. And so they're going to go running to it. I don't think that if it was just a female-only country, like imagine there was a country only of females.
Oh, Lord.
That you would have the same thing happen.
So let me ask you, I have a question for you. Someone just sent me. You have stated that a woman will nudge you to be the man she believes you can be. What does that mean?
Well, again, since you're a biblical person, God created Eve as Adam's helpmate.
Yeah.
And the Hebrew, it says ezer kenegdoi, which means his helper, but against him. And everybody, the rabbis are like, what does that mean? How could you be a helper if you're against it?
Yeah.
And I think if you've been married or you've been in a relationship, you know exactly what that means.
You
right?
say that again.
That's a woman's job. A woman's job is to help her man become a better version of himself. That's what they do. That's why they were created. That's why a woman sees every single fault in her partner. She sees it. She can't not see it. And of course, respectfully, and she has to be kind and loving and all that stuff 100%. That's a lot of what I do in my practice is to help women.
Help women what? Go ahead.
Help women learn how to express their desire for their partners to be more than what he currently is in a loving, respectful, kind way. That's
Why is it that women see the fault in everybody else but themselves?
You're asking all the hard questions, Jesse. mean, if you want, I can try answering that. I do have an answer for that. Do you want to hear my answer, or you want me to just?
No, I want to hear your answer.
Okay. The reason is, I believe, is as follows. Men, and you be a good example of this, even as we started the show, men have the ability to abstract criticism from who they are as a person. So I can criticize you, Jesse, and maybe I can even insult you, as we do in the locker room and in football fields and stuff. And you you hear the criticism, but it doesn't have a reflection on who you are as a person.
Absolutely.
It's just 100%, right?
Yeah.
Women don't have that as much as men. When you criticize a woman, she immediately interprets that as, I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. He doesn't like me. He doesn't love me. He doesn't want me. I'm going to be all alone. Nobody wants me. It's a totally different thing. And that's a very important message that I oftentimes give men during marriage. They'll speak to their wives like they'll speak to their friends, and it doesn't work that way. A woman will remember a criticism 20 years later.
50 years.
And it means so much to her. So a woman has a harder time putting herself down and making herself at fault, because for her to be at fault means that she's not a good person. For me, I can say, hey, I screwed up. What's next?
Yeah.
Pass the pizza, big deal, right?
Yeah.
But a woman, when she says she screwed up, what she's basically saying to herself, what she feels is, I'm not a valuable human being.
Amazing. So another question or comment. The red pill guys become pickup artists, usually. Is that true?
I wouldn't know about that. It could be. I hear about that all the time.
Yeah. Nick, Chris, is that true? Cricket, my social media guy here, he is a millennial guy, so and he looked like a pickup artist, but
yeah, that's usually the route that they take, because they see women, as Dovid was saying, in kind of like a transactional way, and yeah, so they just sort of want to have sex with the women, and kind of that's all they're after.
Did you know that?
I've seen plenty of that online. Yes.
Amazing. So let me just ask you before we run here. How do you see the America right now? I started to say the world, but because this mess is happening all around the world.
Yes.
How do you see America today, and what is the primary cause?
In terms of marriages, you're saying?
No, America, the country.
Just in general, how do I see America?
Right, yes.
I feel maybe the same way you do, that there's a tremendous lack of masculine energy in America today.
Yeah.
And the structure and temper and the stability that comes with a stoic masculine energy is missing. And it feels like a runaway train.
Yeah. And the last word, how do we restore it?
Patriarchy.
That's right. No, I agree.
It has to be both. It has to be respect for the feminine and a respect for the masculine on both sides. And through recreating that balance between the two, I think there's a good chance.
Amazing. Thank you for coming on. Tell the folks how to get to your podcast and all the stuff you're doing.
Sure. The easiest way to connect with me is through my website, which is dovidfeldman.com, DOVIDFELDMAN.com. You can also reach me on Twitter. That's where all the fun happens, where all the great conversations happen. And my handle is just @DovidFeldman. And from there, you can see everything, my podcasts, my therapy practice. If you're having couples issues, it's always a pleasure meeting new people and working with new individuals.
Dovid, thank you so much for coming on, man. I wish you well.
My pleasure. God bless you.
And God bless you. Thank you. Amazing. 888-7753-773. Amazing. And don't forget to like, follow, tweet, subscribe, and share the Jesse Lee Peterson radio show, folks. We really appreciate it. We are at war. It is a spiritual battle for the soul of America. And it's going to take all of us to do it.